Hello, everybody. Welcome to the April, the April 4th Lunch with the Mayor 2025. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I think uh, I have a lot of I have a little bit of content, but I really do want this to be something that's kind of driven by you with your questions and things like that. Of course, as always, if you are watching this live, I'm happy to answer your questions live if you put them in the chat box, if you will. If you are watching this on YouTube later, just know you can always email me at rdaniel at columbiacity.net. If you have a general question that's not necessarily directed at me, you can also email our kind of citywide email, which is info at columbiacity.net. But of course, you can always email me or call my assistant, Ashley Buckles, at 260-248-5111, and she can try to get you connected to the place you need to be. So anyways, thanks for tuning in today. It is currently a bright sunny day, although a little chilly outside here in Columbia City, but I'm excited to talk through the projects that are happening. I also am going to do a little video later that's a property tax video that was created by our City and Towns group called AIM that hopefully will be educational and informative for you all. I know that property taxes are very much on the minds of everybody right now because everyone got the property tax bill last night. I got that myself and had an increase myself. So we can talk through that a little bit, and I can talk about the mechanics of property taxes without trying to bore you too much. Although, as always, I did have a discussion, I think, on property taxes, maybe at the last meeting or the last lunch with the mayor, or the one before that. I'm not 100% sure, but I will try to kind of repost that. But in any case, let me give you an updates on different things happening in the city. But as always, if you have questions, feel free to shoot them my way, and I'm happy to answer those questions. So let's start off with Eagle Park, as we typically do. Eagle Park is still coming along pretty well. Our skate park work is continuing, and we've had a lot of progress. If you've been by lately, you know there's a lot of concrete poured. There's a lot of metal rails and ramps and things like that have been placed. The weather has been pretty decent for construction, so we're excited about the progress that's happening there. Specifically, like I said, we've seen a lot of concrete being poured, which is exciting for a lot of people and for us as well. We're hoping, so originally the schedule, well, way back when we approved the project as a whole at the beginning, the schedule was that it would be done before the fall, but then some different issues happened and sprung up, and we had some things we had to do with the land, and then the Hunger Skate Parks had kind of some of their delays on their side. So the new update, if you will, was that it was going to be done by Memorial Day. So the end of May, if you will. Thankfully, we are, because of the weather being decent, we're hoping for maybe an early May or at least mid-May opening. So we are ahead of schedule, sort of. So I'm excited about that. When that happens, we certainly will let everybody know of what's going on and at what time and what date we're going to have the actual skate park opening, if you will. And we're collaborating with some individuals that I think will have a huge impact on the way in which that is kind of rolled out. I think there's going to be some cool stuff that shows off the value of that skate park. So we're excited about that. So if you haven't driven by Eagle Park recently, that may be something worthwhile to do just to see kind of the progress that's being made. Our Blue River Trail South project is clearly underway. There's been a lot of dirt moved, a lot of equipment that's down there. That's that Next Level Trails grant that we got for, I think, 1.8 million, something like that. 1.6 million, something in that range. I've slept since then, so I don't remember that exact number. But the point of the matter is, it's about a $2 million project to connect our downtown and our Blue River Trail out to the high school property. So we'll see that. Hopefully, we're hoping that's going to be done. We're going to try really hard to get that done before next school year. We are anticipating that it'll be done at the very at the longest, it'll be done by the end of next year, but we're hoping that we can get it done prior to school starting in the 2025-26 school year. So we're working really hard to try to get that done. Our contractors have been working on a lot of areas on that south part of town, or south part of the city. If you live down in that area, thank you for your patience. We have been pouring, well, our contractors have been pouring lots of concrete, have been digging up a lot of sidewalks, have been digging up a lot of driveway approaches and parts of the street and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going on down on that south side to connect our Blue River Trail. As a reminder, the Blue River Trail sort of basically stops right now on Main Street at the Whitley County Consolidated School Barn, or sort of the concrete plant entrance there at the bridge. So we're going to turn north on that bridge, go across the bridge, then go west on Spencer Street, then south on Chauncey. That'll connect us to the trail that's kind of already there on Vine. And then we'll go south on Line Street down across the railroad tracks, and then kind of go toward the river, over Radio Road, and then a pedestrian bridge over the Blue River, kind of through the woods, out to the school campus. So that's kind of the direction that we're heading. You will see, well, if you've driven by, you kind of can see where the route's going to be. But nevertheless, that's happening right now. Again, hopeful completion by the beginning of the next 25-26 school year. At the very least, or at the very longest, at the end of the year, that trail will be done. US 30 Pell Study. I wish I knew. I wish I could give you an update on where the Pell Study is. I think we've had all of our level 1, level 2, level 3 assessments, and now we're just waiting for the state to release the study outcome, if you will. Obviously, we've had an administration change in that time frame. In fact, we've since Governor Braun took over, we've actually already had a change at INDOT from one individual to a new individual that was announced, I think, this week. So we are awaiting INDOT to tell us what's going to happen with US 30, or at least what their plans are showing for the US 30 corridor. We will see where that goes. That's the best I can tell you, because that's all I know right now. Test kitchen. As I mentioned last time, we have completed the test kitchen project, and it's just a matter of doing the programmatic piece now. So by doing the programmatic piece, we'll start rolling out different programs. The problem is we have a vacancy in our community engagement specialist. We actually have all the applications in for that now, and we are going through those applications as we speak. But I just say all that to say our community engagement specialist position is vacant, and they kind of handle the test kitchen. So stay tuned on that. Every time I feel like we're getting progress, things kind of come to a halt. So hopefully here within the next couple of months, we'll be able to go strongly on that. So let's see what else. As always, I let you know you probably should sign up for rave notifications, especially as we get into summer months. I want to encourage you to sign up for rave notifications. That gives you information on the aquatic center, on baseball and softball activities, on emergencies, on all kinds of things like that. So that would be helpful for you to keep in the know about what's going on here in city government. I do see a couple of things coming across already. So safe travel path for golf carts to cross 30 and not wait. So I believe, and I can be corrected here, but I believe we actually, as the city, did change our ordinance to allow golf carts to be able to cross, to go down to Morses Park and cross the Blue River on our trail, and then kind of cross over 30 that way. There are some rules and regulations, obviously, about crossing on state roads. I don't remember exactly all the ordinance. I don't have it in front of me. But the point is that if you wanted to cross, let's say cross US 30, you always have not always, but now you have the ability to go through Morses Park and up to Demone Grimes and Kroger that way. I believe because we've changed that ordinance. But I understand the issue there of crossing US 30. If you are over at Eagle Glen or Irish Glen, that becomes a little more challenging. There really isn't a good crossing there, if you will. So I understand that completely. The hope is that through the US 30 construction project, whenever that comes to be, the hope is that well, we are advocating for, I should say it that way. We are advocating for them to anticipate crossings that that incorporate bikes and walkers and joggers and golf carts as well. So we are encouraging that, but that will be something that will be down the road. So that's probably the best answer I can give you right now. But yeah. Are there any plans to connect the path that ends at Demonte Grams to the subdivisions north of Frontage Road? Oh, that's a really good question, Lori. My answer to that would be is we always have plans. Like we always have ideas and thoughts about how we can get to point A and point B. The challenge for us is because of the congestion of that area and because the fact that what happens on 30 may impact that whole area, may impact Frontage Road, may impact. I'm not thinking very clearly about Airport Road and Countryside Drive and some of those areas. The challenge is we're concerned about putting in a ton of infrastructure if they're going to come up and completely reconfigure that area. But also, obviously, we're trying to, right now the focus is trying to get the trail to the school corporation or to the school property. So, yes, are there plans? Absolutely, there's plans, or there's at least ideas. I won't say plans, not drawn up plans, but there are ideas about how we can get to the all those subdivisions like the Wooddale and the name is escaping me right now, but all of that Heritage Homes and all that area back behind the, let's say, Richards and McDonald's and all that area back there. So I don't know why the name of the subdivision is not coming to my head today, so I apologize for that. And you're probably going to tell me right now. But anyways, point of the matter is yes, there's ideas and thoughts and ideas. We just don't have plans specifically drawn up because we're not sure how everything's going to go back there. So. Okay, so keep questions coming my way. I appreciate that. Hopefully that's as much of the answers I can. Well, I know it is as much of the answer as I can give, but feel free to keep shooting questions my way. Former Whitley County Jail, which is right over that way. We kind of have some ideas that have been drafted up. If you watch the Redevelopment Commission, you know what some of those plans are. Thank you, Cambridge Crossing. Yes, I knew, Laura, you'd come in the clutch on that one. So yes, Cambridge Crossing. So for the jail, we have some plans that are drafted up. Just full disclosure on that, we got some estimates back. Those estimates are very high for what we want to do, and so we went back to the engineer and said, okay, let's really look at what's realistic here. Let's not go for Cadillac. Let's try to see how we can save some dollars and at the same time still provide a good benefit. So the idea has been that we put kind of the police department in there because we really are out of space here at City Hall, as well as some other amenities in there that I think could be helpful to both the business and the residential community. So stay tuned for that. Again, we have ideas and plans. It's just a matter of what the cost is. And so that's some of the things that we're doing right now. So that's all I can say right now. More to come. Stay tuned for that. Comprehensive plan. We are doing a comprehensive plan update, as you probably know. There will be plenty of opportunities for public input happening. My guess is the public input sessions will probably happen in the early to mid-summer time frame. I don't have an exact date, but I know the comprehensive planning team is going to be at First Fridays one of those times. I don't know if it's the May 1st Friday or the June 1st Friday. So when I know that, I will publicize that on my page, of course. And then junk pickup, I talked about last time, but it is something that is coming, and you need to be prepared for that. I've gotten a lot of questions, actually, recently about junk pickup. So west side of the city, remember State Road 9 is the dividing line, so west side of the city is the week of April 28th. You need to have your stuff out by April 28th in order for it to be picked up. And then the east side is the week of May 5th. That is east of State Road 9 or Main Street, okay? That is something where you guys have to have, everybody has to have their stuff out by the curb by that date. By April 28th on the west side, May 5th on the east side. Have it to the curb, not in the street, by the Monday of that week. I will also tell you, as I've mentioned previously, you need to make sure that you know the rules and regulations. If something is over, is it 6 foot? I think it's if anything's over 6 foot, it has to be cut in half. If it's upholstered, you have to have it wrapped in a bag, a tarp, or something. Those kind of things. Those are regulations that come from the trash contractor. They do not pick up things like bricks or concrete or things like that. If you have wet paint, it needs to be dried out, or at the very least, put kitty litter in it so it dries it out. It has to have the top off of it. There's all kinds of regulations. I know that stinks, and I know that makes it a little more challenging, or you have to be a little more pinpoint about what you do, but understand that that's the rules and regulations. And frankly, a lot of those regulations come from the actual trash company, well, from where they actually dump the trash stuff. So just so you're aware, that is happening. Michelle, thank you for your question. Anything you could do to lower property taxes? So I'm going to talk about that in a moment, so stay tuned. I promise I'm going to talk about that here and actually the tax situation, because again, everybody got their bills. So everyone's interested in that. I get that completely. And so I will talk about that. Just stick with me for a moment, a couple minutes longer, and be happy to talk through that a little bit. So leaf mulch is now available at the back of Morses Park. It is self-load, so feel free to bring your own containers or whatever, or trailer or whatever. That leaf mulch is, as a reminder, it really is kind of a recycling thing where we collect those leaves throughout the fall months, and they get stored at the back of Morses Park. And then at Morses Park, we then bring in a grinder in the springtime. We grind up all those good leaves, and then people use it on their gardens and their flowers and things like that. It is not wood mulch; it is leaf mulch. But it is really good for the soil. It's basically putting nutrients back into the soil. So usually all that leaf mulch is gone within about a month. So I wouldn't count on it being still being there a month from now. But I would suggest, if you do have an interest in getting that leaf mulch, if the weekend's nice, or if you have a nice evening or afternoon, I would say go back and go get your mulch. So I have another thing in here. Let's see, may not be something you... so the question is, this may not be something you handle, but rural areas could really use REMC utilizing fiber optics since they service a majority of the county. Is this something that's been discussed or will be discussed? Mediacom service in South Whitley is horrible, and I'm sure that it is the same everywhere. So Natasha, yeah, unfortunately that's outside of my jurisdiction. My jurisdiction is within the city limits proper. Northeastern RMC, that's a completely different electric utility. But I would say this is there are areas. Let's go by the house. So I would say this: there is representatives on the REMC board that represents different parts of the county and different parts of their service territory. So I would suggest going onto the REMC website, and you can probably figure out who your representative is and then have a conversation or contact them directly. Again, that is a part of their board, so they kind of help provide the leadership, if you will. You could also contact their CEO, which is Eric Young. Good guy, nice guy, and we work together on a lot of different things. In fact, talk about what was just posted. So that is, Shane says, how about a big shout out to Columbia City Electric Utility and REMC for being right on top of all the outages, even was out in the nasty storm risking lives. Yes, thank you, Shane, appreciate that. Yes, our electric department and Northeastern REMC's electrical guys have been out on these last two windstorms that we've had. I've been really, really thankful for them and impressed by them. Again, understand that we've taken a lot of measures to try to reduce the amount of outages. We put in an AMI system. We've moved a lot of electrical lines underground, but there are some places that we just really can't put them underground, or it would be too cost prohibitive to move them underground. My point of saying all that is, in the windstorm from Sunday, we had, I think REMC had 6 electrical poles that were snapped. Our lines were actually on those electrical poles. We share lines with REMC here and there. And so we worked together to try to get that service back on for both our customers as well as REMC customers. Northeastern REMC and the City of Columbia City, both of our electric utilities worked really, really hard to try to keep the lights on, and we work really, really well together. So it is something where I think we've done a pretty good job of making sure that those lights stay on. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. I will tell you, as you can guess, there are times where when we have outages, our department is maybe they're not lifted up, or they're maybe treated a little unkindly because people want their electric restored right now. But obviously, our goal is always first and foremost to try to make sure we do it in the safest way possible. We want to make sure that our electrical guys go home at night to their families, or go home, I guess, in the morning, in that case, to their families. And so we're going to do it the right way, not the fast way. But obviously, expediency is always important for all of our customers. So we try really hard to get it on quick, but safety is always the number one priority. So thank you for that. We appreciate a couple of people that have reached out and gave kudos. I know our electric guys really appreciate that. It gives them kind of that heart flutter, if you will. I'm just speaking for myself maybe now. They would never say heart flutter. but it does make them know that they're appreciated. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed our April Fool's Day joke of changing the city name to Beaver. As I posted, some of you may have seen it, some of you may not have, but as I posted on my mayor's Facebook page that you're watching here, we actually could have been the town and now the city of Beaver. 3 votes separated the idea of being Columbia City, the town of Columbia City that became the city of Columbia City, to the town of Beaver. And so if you have not read that, I really encourage you to go back, take a look at my post from April 2nd that says kind of the history from the Historical Society. They kind of gave us some of the history, which is great. And so hopefully that actually was an April Fool's joke that actually was sort of rooted in history. So take a look at that. I think you'll get a real, you'll enjoy that very much. So any thoughts on putting a law back in for chickens in town? Devon, or Devon, I'm not sure if it's Devon or Devon. I should know that, and I'm sorry that I probably mispronounced your name one way or another there, but nevertheless, so I don't know when chickens were allowed in the city. I don't know when they actually ended up being outlawed in the city. As I've said before, that is a city council ordinance issue. I enforce the laws. They make the laws, if you will. So if you have interest in having that change, you need to contact your city council member. I will say the last time it was discussed, I would say it was pretty unanimous that they didn't want to make that change, and some of that came from public feedback. Some of it came from the logistics of what happens if a cat or dog, gets free. We end up working with the shelter. They take care of it, things like that. We actually pay them for that, but they don't necessarily have the capability to take chickens. So I think there was just some logistic issues there as to how many chickens, what kind of chickens, what happens if they get free, how do we maintain that, just all that kind of stuff. So again, I want to just, as with any kind of level of government or layer of government, the mayor doesn't make laws. The city council in cities make laws. So feel free to talk to your city council representatives about that. Yes, thanks, Shane. Appreciate that. Okay, now for the time you've been waiting for, let's talk property taxes. Yeah, everyone got their bill last night. I myself also got that bill. As you probably saw in the bill, there were more, I thought about bringing my bill in today just to kind of show you the different categories and stuff, but I walked out of the house without it. So long story short, if you look at your bill, I'm going to go from memory here, so it may not be spot on, but it's close. It will show you... Christopher. Christopher says, take the stray chickens to KFC. I'm not sure that would be, I don't know that the FDA would approve of that, but nevertheless. Okay, so property taxes. So if you look at your bill, you have the 2024 pay 25 bill, and then you have the you have the 23 pay 24 bill, and then you have the 24 pay 25 bill, I think. Or maybe you have the 25 pay 26 bill. Doesn't matter. Point of the matter is it shows you the different rate structures. So it shows you what the rates were for city, county, township, library, schools. Those are the 5 things. I want to also encourage you, by the way, if you've not read my newsletter article, I talk about this pretty in depth in our city newsletter. So go to columbiacity.net and go to the newsletter portion. I think it's under, you know what, I'll tell you here in a second what it is. If you go to columbiacity.net, you can go to the little tabs, and under services, you can click city newsletter, and that is where I kind of talk about property taxes in a nutshell, if you will. So hopefully they'll give you a better understanding of of tax rates and property tax as a whole. But nevertheless, if you look at those, you will see that all of the city tax rates, the city tax rate, school tax rate, township, county, etc., all the tax rates have gone down from last year, okay? So that is the rate in which city, town, county, townships, schools, libraries, etc. are taxing you, if you will. Keep in mind that those tax rates are based on $100 of assessed valuation, okay? So I think ours went from 80 some cents down to 70 some cents, if I remember correctly. And so when you look at that, you will know that those tax rates went down. Now, here's the issue. If the tax rate went down, why are property tax bills going up, right? So that's a really good question. A lot of that has to do with the assessed valuation of your property. The way in which the system was set up by the legislature is that as the economy goes up, or as property values go up, then you end up paying more because your assessed value is up. Or if your assessed value goes down, you end up usually paying less. So I think what I'd like to do is, we'll talk more about that here in a moment, but I'm going to switch over to a property tax video. It's like 3 minutes long, so stick with me, and then we can kind of dissect it a little bit. If you have questions about it, feel free to put it in the chat here in a moment. So let's go to that video.
Hoosiers have seen their property tax bills rise over the past 2 years. To provide relief, lawmakers are considering new legislation to cut these taxes. On the surface, this might sound good, but what's the best solution? Property taxes help fund essential services like police, fire departments, and road maintenance, so cutting too much could have serious consequences. Let's take a closer look at why tax bills have gone up and why a balanced, targeted approach is the best way forward. Indiana uses a market-based assessment system, meaning property values are assessed based on their current market value in use. When home prices rise, so do assessments. But here's a key fact. Higher assessments don't automatically mean higher tax rates. Local governments can only increase their budgets up to a state-mandated cap, called Maximum Levy Growth Quotient, MLGQ. In 2025, that cap is set at just 4%, far below the rise in property values. And thanks to property tax caps passed in 2008, homeowners will never pay more than 1% of their home's assessed value in property taxes. So why have tax bills gone up? The answer lies in two major factors. A hot real estate market during the pandemic drove home values up nationwide. Levy increases in the few funds not controlled by the state MLGQ, such as debt and school referenda. With rising property values, assessments increased. But local governments didn't cause this. They are legally bound by the MLGQ cap and can only adjust tax rates based on inflation and rising service costs. It's easy to assume tax increases mean local governments are spending more, but that's simply not true. There are state-level controls on how much cities and towns can collect through property taxes. Most local budgets have only grown at or below the rate of inflation. Meanwhile, the cost of public safety, infrastructure, and other critical services has outpaced revenue growth, forcing cities and towns to stretch their budgets while still delivering high-quality services. Cutting property taxes might seem like an easy fix, but without a balanced approach, it comes at a cost. Infrastructure maintenance could suffer, impacting road upkeep, plowing, and sidewalk improvements, replacement of parks equipment, mowing green spaces, reduced code enforcement efforts, and elimination of quality of place programs and services. Public safety could be at risk with funding for fewer officers, slower firefighting response times, and fewer dispatches. Additionally, past tax cuts, mandates, and inflation have already constrained local budgets. Further cuts could make it even harder for cities and towns to fund essential services. Instead of sweeping cuts, targeted solutions can provide relief to homeowners without compromising public safety, infrastructure, or economic growth. That's where AIM comes in. AIM represents all Indiana cities and towns, advocating for policies that strengthen communities, while keeping taxes fair and sustainable. AIM supports solutions that balance tax relief with maintaining vital services, so Hoosiers don't have to choose between lower tax bills and safe, thriving communities. Hoosiers deserve smart, sustainable solutions, not short-term fixes that could hurt communities in the long run. Let's work together, state leaders, lawmakers, and local officials, to ensure Indiana remains a great place to live. Learn more at aimindiana.org.
So again, I don't want to belabor the point because I know obviously some of that was obviously focused on what's happening at the legislature right now, but I just wanted to kind of give an overview of the situation, right? And so as assessed valuations go up, then you're paying more because your assessment is higher. But we at the local government are really capped overall in what we can grow our budget by, which is why you're not seeing the same level of tax rate. Because if we could grow at the same rate your assessment is growing, obviously you'd pay a lot more. But you don't see that. You see our actual tax rate going down as the assessments go up because at the end of the day, we're capped at how much we can grow. Here's the other thing, and again, I'm speaking very frankly with you, and it could get me in trouble, but it is what it is. This is the truth. This is how things happen. It's really important to understand it, is that you and me as residents pay the least amount of property taxes of any entity, right? We as residents we are capped constitutionally in the state of Indiana, we are capped at 1%, which means on $100 of assessed valuation, right, that would be $1. Well, if my tax rate is at, I know it's like $1.84, something like that. I think it's $1.84. Anyways, point of the matter is whatever that is, that means that for every resident, you are only paying that $1, if you will, right? You're not paying the $1.84 because that would be over and above the 1%, right? Now, here's the other thing. Well, okay, so let me keep going down that route. The 2%ers, which is rentals and I think farmland, those individuals obviously are paying that full $1.84, right? Because it's not at the 2% cap. And then the 3%ers, which are your businesses, your industries, your commercial, things like that, are paying the full amount as well because they are at the 3% cap. Now, I say all that to say that the other kind of piece of the puzzle here is that your property and my property, everybody's residential property has property tax relief already built in, right? So you already get a tax credit, a homestead deduction, if you will. There's also a supplemental deduction that goes with that as well. So even if your property, let's say your property is valued at $300,000, okay? I'm not saying it is. Could be 200, could be 100, could be 50,000, whatever. But the point of the matter is that the majority of residential properties are not appraised at their full value, meaning they are not appraised at the same value. Assessed. Let me try again. They are not assessed at the same value that you could go and sell it at, right? So if you take, let's say you have a $300,000 appraised home, meaning that you could go in the market and sell your home for $300,000 right now. You are not taxed at that $300,000 level. You are taxed at an appraised level, which is supposed to be the market rate provided by the actual county assessor. And there's a certain formula that goes into that. You could always talk to the county assessor and get more information on this. But my point of saying all that is this, is that your property is probably being assessed, because you take out deductions, probably being assessed for a $300,000 home, probably being assessed at closer to $200,000, okay? And keep in mind that if you combine that on top of the fact that you're not paying the full property tax rate because you're over the 1%, right? The $1.86 or $1.84 that the city, county, township, school, and library are all charging my city residents, that $1.86 or whatever is over the 1% cap. So you're already getting a property tax credit in that regard. Then you're also getting a credit in the fact that the the assessments are less than the appraisal plus the supplemental deduction and the regular deduction. So I'm not trying to get too deep. I'm not saying that property taxes aren't high. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is that overall, I just want you to be aware of the property tax system as it currently sits. Now, there are discussions, as the video just showed, there are discussions about how the property tax system may be changed in this legislative session, okay? There are lots of ways it's being discussed, and there is no clear, this is what we're going to do. The governor has some ideas. The legislature has some ideas. Obviously, we as locals have some different ideas, things like that. But at the end of the day, we never want people to be taxed out of their home. We never want people to feel like they have to choose between medicine and staying in their home. We don't want any of that stuff. We also know that residents consistently are asking for more services by their city government and their town government. And so I will continue to advocate to do the best that we can with the dollars that we're given. Okay? So that's a lot, and I'm sorry that I didn't mean to, I hope we didn't think that I'm unloading. I'm not. I'm trying really hard to describe the totality of the picture. I don't want to pay any more than I have to pay. I get that completely. I've said that about utilities as well, right? I don't want to have to pay any more. I love the idea of use taxes more than taxing work or taxing things like that. But I will say property tax as a whole is it's a pretty stable source for your local government, right? We know that individuals that are staying in or that are living in Columbia City or working in Columbia City, if you will, that they're probably the ones that are using police or fire or streets or sidewalks or parks or limb pickup, leaf pickup, the leaf mulches at the park, our park system, all the other services that we as the city provide, right? Like property taxes go toward public safety. If you look at our budget spreadsheet, if you will, you'll see that the majority of property taxes really go to 2 or 3 entities as a whole: police, fire, some street, parks obviously are a part of that. But then you have general government stuff, which is like information technology, so that we can have this conversation, or things like, when you call into the office, my assistant, so she can answer your questions, or I can answer your questions, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not saying that there isn't some areas that could be cut minor-wise, but I will tell you that we work really hard to try to focus on making those dollars work hard, to have a good investment so that you can be proud of the community that you live in, that you can enjoy the community you live in. And frankly, this is my last thing I'll say, and then I'll get off my soapbox. Unless you have questions, then I can happy to answer those things. Is that, there are individuals, and you may be one of them, and that's okay. There are individuals that don't want our community to grow. And I understand that. I understand we don't want to lose the small town feel. I don't want to lose the small town feel. But the other side of that, I also have to say, is when we look at the market, we need new homes to be built. Because the fact that there's not enough homes available right now drives the market cost up, which means it drives your assessment and my assessment up because there's not enough homes. And those homes, your home and my home, are based on the market. And if the homes are being sold at a higher price, that makes your and my price for our assessment go up. Okay? So the more we can, grow and spread out that cost, the more the market isn't as hot, the better it is for you and me on our assessments. So hopefully that was educational. I live in this stuff every day. It is intense and it is a lot, and I know that people don't like getting their bill. I get that completely. I think we're trying, again, our tagline is building a future together, and I think we're trying our best to make our dollars scream, if you will. Again, the good thing I think about Columbia City, the thing I'm really proud of, is that we are in the bottom 25% of city tax rates in all of the state of Indiana, meaning we have one of the lowest tax rates for cities in all of the state. Okay? I'm not talking about towns, not talking about counties or townships, because they're their own beasts. They have their own different things than we do. But when it comes to all 120 some cities across the state of Indiana, we are in the bottom 25 when it comes to 25% when it comes to tax rates. And so I'm really proud of that. We try really hard to make our money scream. We try to make our money stretch. And we are going to continue to do that as long as I'm in this chair. So that's the best I can say for right now. I understand you may have questions, things that I can try to answer. So feel free to shoot them my way. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to shoot an email my way, Ryan. I did this again. rdaniel@columbiacity.net. Happy to answer those questions and try my best to explain it. It is a complicated system. That's the best I can say is it is a complicated property tax system that funds local government as a whole. So that's the best I got. Unless you have questions, feel free to shoot them my way, and I will try to answer those. So I did get a couple of things non-property tax related. Thank you, Carol. Appreciate that. I've been advocating for not much traction. Route 30 changes has the focus. Yep, that's fair, Alan. So Alan says that basically that, crosswalks, if you will, to Cambridge Crossing and Heritage Place. US 30 has a lot of the airspace, if you will, and again, that's because of what an impact across the city and across the county and across the region it's going to have. If, as a reminder, US 30 projects are kind of already in line, but not for the city. So. Let me get here. So Sweetwater, which is Kramer Road, and Amazon, which is Flaw Road, those roads already have projects that are scheduled. And I think, frankly, Flaw Road, is actually scheduled for either this year or next year. But the point is that's going to become an actual interchange. So you will see construction beginning on that. I believe it's this year on that interchange. Kramer, I think, is going to be a right in and right out. So you can get from Columbia City, you can get into Sweetwater and get going back toward Fort Wayne, but you can't come back this way without figuring out a way to come back. So I think they're going to loop you back to Flaw Road somehow from the Sweetwater area. I think that's the plan of action. There's, I think, an overpass at O'Day Road, if I remember correctly, what is planned. And then there'll probably be two interchanges at SDI from what I understand. One will be on Butt Road there at what Hilgers used to be or near there, as well as 700 East here in Whitley County, with 600 East being an overpass and somehow connected through a frontage road or something like that. So that's what I know is the plan of action for US 30. Again, keep in mind every one of those projects is outside my jurisdiction, so I don't know all the intimate details about it, but I know enough to be dangerous, which is kind of like a lot of things. I know a lot to be dangerous, but maybe not enough. Let's see what else. Yeah, so I think that is kind of, that's US 30. If there's any other questions, feel free to post them. I'm going to move to calendar. Because somehow I've filled 43 minutes of your time today, so I appreciate you sticking around on this. So tonight, from 4 to 6 p.m., there is a fish fry benefiting Mission 25 at St. Paul's Catholic Church. It is a drive-through only, but it does benefit Mission 25, and I believe that's being put on by the Knights of Columbus. Tomorrow, from 7 to 10 a.m., 4-H Ag Museum is having a pancake and sausage and egg and other fundraising breakfast. So check that out. Again, most of these things are on Facebook, so feel free to check those out on Facebook or, I guess, those entities' websites. April 17th, mark your calendars for the annual Rotary Easter egg hunt at Morses Park. More details to come on that, but that will be in that kind of late afternoon, early evening time frame. I think it's usually at like 5:30 or something like that. Don't quote me on that. As soon as I get a flyer, I will post that for everyone. But that'll be happening. Usually there's different age groups. I've been a part of that, as you well know, as a part of my time here and as a part of Rotary that we've been able to put that event on. So April 18th, City Hall is closed for Good Friday. April 18th is also an Easter egg hunt out at Pages Crossing, and I know there's lots of other Easter egg hunts. Those are just a couple I've picked up. April 24th at 6 p.m. is the Center's Cook-Off at First Church of God. My guess is a lot of those tables have probably been filled by now, but you could always contact the center if you're interested in attending that. It's a great event. I kind of call it, it's kind of the social gathering of the year. I probably shouldn't say that, but it's a social gathering of the year. A lot of people there. Supports a great organization with the Center for Whitley County Youth. Really proud to be a part of that. We're actually not going to be able to be there this year, but there are a lot of people that are, and it's going to be a great event. April 24th is also Power of the Purse at Eagle Glen, and that is by United Way, and that's at 6:30 p.m. So call the United Way of Whitley and Kosciuszko counties about that. April 26th at 9 a.m. is the Downtown Cleanup Day by Columbia City Connect. If you've not participated in that and you want to teach your kids or spouse or anybody else about the idea of giving back to your community, it's a great day to do that. It's very easy. Super easy. You show up about 9 a.m. They'll give you, a pair of gloves, a trash bag, things like that, and we clean grates around the city, meaning the tree grates, if you will. We pick up trash. We make good things happen across downtown, make it beautiful, make it ready to go for the summer season. So encourage you to do that if you have an interest. Put that on your calendar, 9 a.m. downtown, April 26th. Bring your family members, make it a family event, usually over by noonish or earlier than that. So really easy commitment. April 28th, as I said, is the West Side Junk Pickup, so make sure your stuff is out by the 28th. May 1st, National Day of Prayer. There's an event, I think, at 7 a.m. at the courthouse, and then at 6 p.m. over at Community of Hope Church. May 2nd at noon is the next lunch with the mayor, so mark your calendars for that. I think we'll have a special guest for that one. I think. So mark your calendars for noon on May 2nd. May 2nd from 6 to 9 p.m. is the first Friday in downtown Columbia City. So they got a great lineup for this year. Different events happening. We have our Movie on the Square sort of scheduled. I was going to say canceled. Scheduled. So be prepared for that. It's usually in that September time frame. So keep in mind they'll probably be on that first Friday of September. Let's see what else. May 3rd at 10 o'clock or 11:30 a.m., depending on what your, kind of pick your poison, if you will. Downtown Columbia City is having historic tours by Columbia City Connect. So you got to meet at the gazebo at, like I said, 10 o'clock or 11:30 a.m., and they will take you around downtown and give you kind of historical tour of our community, of our downtown community, which is a really cool thing. April 28th is, I'm sorry, I've already said that one. Let's try this again. May 3rd from 11 or at 11 a.m. is the Pregnancy and Child Loss Remembrance Walk at Morses Park. That's become kind of an annual thing now. May 4th at 11 a.m. is Andy's Car Wash grand reopening. So congratulations on their reopening. They're doing some refurbishments and enhancements to their business. So excited to see their reopening time there. May 4th from 2 to 4 p.m. is a Skating for Scholarships at the Happy Valley Skating Rink benefiting Camp Whitley. So I believe that goes toward camper scholarships, if you will. So take your family out to go skate from 2 to 4 p.m. on May 4th for Camp Whitley. May 5th, of course, is the East Side Junk Pickup. So have your stuff out by the morning of May 5th to make sure that, if you're on the east side, to make sure that it gets picked up. May 9th is my State of the City address at the Community Foundation of Whitley County building, Community Foundation building. You do need to contact the Chamber of Commerce for more details and to register. As always, I shouldn't say as always, I probably will end up posting that State of the City address on my social media in some way, shape, or form. I don't know if it'll be after or during, so we haven't worked out all those details. I got a month. I'm good. May 10th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Columbia City Connect is hosting a flower crawl through downtown. That's going to be something where, as you go to different businesses, you can pick up a different flower to kind of have end up with a bouquet of sorts or something like that. So I'm not 100% sure. I think that's what it is. But you can contact, or you'll see probably more information about that from Columbia City Connect. May 10th from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. is Dino Day and Show and Shine event. It is not Dino as in dinosaurs. It is Dino as in, I think, maybe dynamics. I'm not sure. Anyways, point of the matter is it's over on the Chicago Street side there. I think it's Quality Diesel is putting it on. So that's like I think a car event-ish kind of a thing happening there. May 13th I probably just completely misrepresenting that. Please, I apologize if you're a part of that group. I just put it down and I didn't put down the details. So May 13th from 4 to 8 p.m. Pizza Hut is having a fundraiser for Camp Whitley. So go get some pizza on May 13th. May 17th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. is a Go Topless Jeep Go Topless Day for Jeeps. By the Whitley County Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center that supports disabled American veterans. So again, May 17th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. May 26th at 10 a.m. is the Memorial Day Mile Run, sponsored by Running Around Screen Printing. That has become kind of a every year thing now, where the Memorial Day Mile Run, they kind of get started before us, before the Memorial Day Parade happens. So I think it does start there at the Walnut Street area and then goes that mile. But May 26th at 10:30 a.m. is the actual Memorial Day Parade. And as always, it will be starting at Walnut Street, going down Van Buren toward Madison Street. It'll turn south on Madison and go to the Green Hill Cemetery, where there will be a program for Memorial Day, a ceremony, if you will. It's always a great time of remembrance, time of honoring, and I'm happy to always. I don't know that I've ever missed one of those Memorial Day events. So, great time, and so yeah, highly suggest being out there. Again, that whole parade route, Van Buren Street from Walnut to Madison, and then you can go south on Madison to the cemetery as well. May 30th is the last day of schools for Whitley County Consolidated Schools, assuming that we don't have any additional days off. So May 30th is right around the corner. June 6th at noon is lunch with the mayor, and June 6th from 6 to 9 p.m. is the first Friday for June. So that is what I have right now. Thank you, Dee Dee. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. And then Christopher says that tomorrow, 4/5, opening day for Pages Crossing. So with that, here's your last chance to give me a question that you may have, or rumor if you may have. I will say that recently I've eaten at both Azara's and at Chibo. Both great, different from each other for sure. Ozara's is more that natural eating, clean eating type thing, but they have some really good, good piece of peach cake and had a burger and some things like that were there, so it was pretty good. And then at Chibo, had that actually last night and for the first time, and our family really enjoyed the fettuccine alfredo and the chicken parm and all your typical Midwestern Italian, if you will. But I think there was some really cool kind of genuine Italian type stuff there. So that's not a plug from the mayor. It's just saying that some of the downtown restaurants that are new, check them out. Think about, instead of maybe on Friday or Saturday night going to a different place, going to Fort Wayne or going to Warsaw, check out downtown. Heck, during the week, they'd love to have you check them out. And we have a new barbecue place that's opening here that in downtown, which is also a cool thing. We got a lot of stuff, and then of course we have all of our other downtown restaurants and businesses that have been here for a while. So I'm really happy with where downtown's going personally. My assistant and I were talking about this earlier today, of just the fact that there's a lot of activity happening in downtown, and that is because of private investment, that is because of Columbia City Connect, that is because of residents that have been supporting the new stuff that's happening in downtown Columbia City. It's about the events that have happened, and so I'm really, really proud of what's happening in Columbia City, in our downtown. So I want to invite you to check out check out the new things, not just in Columbia City or not just in downtown, but throughout our community. Think about shopping local if at all possible. From downtown, downtown we have shoes and we have comic books and we have flowers and we have all kinds of things, but not just in downtown. We have them across the city. We have lots of different places that you can shop, if you will. So I highly encourage that. So thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate that. Loving the April Fool's Day joke. Bigger dams, bigger dreams. Here we go. We're ready to go. So if you ever see T-shirts with the logo and the flag, you have to give some kind of copyright, or maybe not copyright, but some kind of credit to my assistant who single-handedly created that. I shouldn't say. Well, used the template that we had for both the logo and for the flag, and put on the beaver into both of those things. So kudos to my assistant Ashley Buckles on that hard work, and kudos to Rosie for playing along with that April Fool's Day joke. So thanks everybody for tuning in today on this April 4th, 2025 Lunch with the Mayor. I hope this has been educational. As always, you can contact me here at City Hall, 260-248-5111, or our Daniel at columbiacity.net. I'm thankful, as always, to be able to serve you as your mayor. As always, I want to encourage you to be a positive force in somebody else's life. If you are having mental health struggles, talk to somebody, make it valuable. You are valuable, and people around you believe you are valuable because of who you are. And so I want to encourage you, if you struggle with mental health, talk to somebody about it. Have that confidant, have that counselor, have that friend who has your back, and talk to them. And if you don't have any of those people, there's plenty of resources around to help you through those situations. I want to encourage you to be a positive force in somebody's life. The ability that you have to make a difference in someone else's life is incredible and exponential. I have seen personally how someone can impact a life that impacts generations of lives. And the reason why we're here today is because somebody impacted somebody else's life who impacted somebody else's life. So you can be that person. And so I want to encourage you to do that. Also, I want to encourage you, and again, this is not directed at any specific person or entity or anything like that, but I want to encourage you to always seek facts. Always seek facts. Find answers to your questions. It's really easy to put out that into cyberspace, and I'm guilty of that too, okay? I'm guilty of that too. But I want to encourage you, seek out answers. Find those sources. We at local government, I promise you, we're trying every day to try to make this community better. We're trying to invest your dollars in a strong way. We're trying to make sure that we're accessible to the public and doing everything we can do so that you can be proud of your local government. So that's what we do, and you know who I am, and I appreciate talking to you each and every, well, I guess. Well, that's true, Christopher, yeah. Christopher says facts are not usually found on Facebook, unless you're listening to Lunch with the Mayor, and then the facts are found on Facebook. But in any case, I just want to encourage you to continue being light to others, and thank you so much for tuning in. Again, tune in next time for our next Lunch with the Mayor on May 2nd at noon. Have a wonderful rest of April, and we'll see you in May. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.